Good afternoon and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Providence Holy Cross Medical Center, IMAC Med Spa, and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Thomas Polucki.
on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of seniors and speaking of quality of life, our one and only Kevin MacDonald, who's the Executive Director of the SCV Senior Center. Hi, it's good to see you
Good
again.
to see you. Great to be back.
Yes.
It's always a good show when Kevin comes in for the first half, and then we have Comfort Keepers in the second half.
Yes.
We know I call it the Big Mac show.
Or the Mac and Mix show, whatever you want to call it. You're right.
It's like it's on autopilot. So Kevin, right now the big issue is this heat. This is the coolest day it's going to be for the next several days, if not weeks,
Right.
and it's already over 100 degrees. So even though you're not an official cooling center, you got the air
We
conditioner
got the air
running there.
conditioner. Well, welcome to Santa Clarita in the summer.
Yeah,
Isn't that
right.
what we've all become accustomed to at this point in time? I'm from New Jersey.
Right.
We
me
had
too,
we
yeah.
had the humidity, but this is the
I
heat.
prefer the heat over the humidity any day.
Yeah.
But it's your classic summer in Santa Clarita, and I think we're kind of ready for it. This is my 7th summer here, so I'm more accustomed to it in Santa Clarita. And our shout out to the senior centers. We got this big, beautiful senior center, fully air conditioned. I was there, just came from there. It's fully operational, and if people just need a place to cool down, we're there for them. And we open up at 8 o'clock every morning.
Yeah.
We close at about 4:30, but some people come over just to sit on the couch
Sure.
and relax. So it's open and available for people is what we're sharing with. And do you have to show ID at the door? No. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So if someone's under the age of 60, they're welcome into the senior center, especially if they have to cool down. I know the library is a cooling station, several cooling stations in town. And like I said, we're open Monday through Friday.
Yeah, so it takes care of the hottest part of the day. Even if, let's say you do have air conditioning in your house, you can go there and, cool down even a little bit more than you may be comfortable cooling your house down to.
Right.
Right? So that's nice to have that. What about transportation to the senior center? What are the options as far as getting there?
We have a whole lot of options. I mean, of course, some people drive, but we work with the city a lot with their transportation department, and they're just fantastic with us. They have the TAP cards, which are low discount cards for folks. We have the Dial-A-Ride. I mean, so many people have taken Dial-A-Ride. The ridership has gone up, and we have a nice system. Actually, the city gave us a person, Patrick, who's there every day to help the Dial-A-Ride folks.
Nice.
And Patrick's purpose in life is to make sure they get on the bus, they get off the bus for the heavy part of the day. And I've gotten to know the drivers, and they're all good and accommodating. They actually get out of their buses to go into the senior center, make sure they find the person,
Right.
and really are accommodating. And I have never seen it quite like that, the accommodation, because the typical bus companies will just come and say, "Get on my bus."
Yeah,
No,
get on my bus, get
they,
off.
They take care. Not this. I mean, the transportation is great. And we're also adding, the city just announced that in the new bus lines coming out in August, they adjust everything in August. We have a bus line coming back to the senior center for the first time since we opened in 2019. So
Fantastic.
don't ask me the exact bus line, but it's going to come in the morning and pick up in the afternoon, and it's one of the big buses.
Nice.
So again, another opportunity, and our parking lot's pretty full, so we're happy they're going to stop by a bunch of different senior apartments, is how the route that we saw goes. They've been working really hard to make this happen. So we're going to start off light with one bus coming through with our parking lot the way it is with drive-through services and everything else. So we're just happy seniors have another option to come in.
Sure. So it's someone who's never been to the senior center, and I haven't even scratched the surface of what's available there.
Mm-hmm.
So someone who is like me doesn't probably know a fraction of what is going on there. What could someone expect, from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. when you're open? What is available there at the senior center?
It's a great question because we have so many new people coming in. We have up to 15 new people a day coming to the senior center, and they're coming in for the first time. So the word's getting out because we're not advertising.
That's fantastic.
Which is good news.
Hey,
Yes.
what is this? Chopped liver here?
So I think it's a great question, because if you walked in today, say you walked in at 8:30 this morning, and you walked into this big building, a little overwhelming, and we call it the country club for seniors. It's not your grandfather's senior center.
No, it
This
isn't.
is a country club. You're going to go up to this nice, beautiful reception desk, and two ladies are there. They're the hosts of the hostess, and they will. What do you need? How can we help you? Can we give you a tour of the senior center? And right away we're giving you a tour. And then we're going to say, do you want to sit in the lounge and hang out for a little while as things get going for the day? And then they're going to give you a list of classes you might want to sign up for. And they have most of our classes have a chair involved. So it's chair Pilates or sit and be fit. We also have the crazy Zumba classes in the afternoon. So you're going to get a list of 30 different options that are all free still, that you can sign up for.
Every day.
What's
There's
that?
30
No,
classes
30
a day?
classes throughout the week.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
they may have Zumba 3 times a week and the chair Pilates several times a week. And you can pick, do you want the active ones, the less active ones? The needle crafters meet once a week, and these ladies get together and they do needlecraft. The billiards room is open 5 days a week, and it's a nice bunch of guys to hang out with. And guys in retirement really don't know what to do. Well,
Yeah.
the billiards hall is, for us, a magnet for them to just meet somebody. So you can you can go to our fitness center, and people work out there every day. We have almost 40 people working out there throughout the day,
Nice.
and getting physical fitness. And it's air conditioned to 70 degrees now, so it's
Oh,
kind of
they
nice
have
place
some
to.
terrific machines.
Nice,
in
nice
there.
equipment that was all donated
Oh,
as we
yes.
built the building.
Nice.
And then they're going to ask you about lunch. Now, the lunch is the tricky part. You got to be 60. So, but there's no income thing. So there's no income requirement. But if you're 60 and you live in LA County, they'll send you upstairs. You have to fill out the county paperwork. But that same day you can get lunch. So you're not going to leave there without a meal, because that's important to us. So we capture you to say, hey, if you need a meal, we're here today. Go right downstairs. Here's your yellow card, your golden ticket. Go have your first meal in the ballroom, and enjoy what we have to offer. And then you're going to say, but I'm struggling with something. I'm struggling with loneliness, or I'm struggling to take care of my parents somehow. How can I get help? The social work department is there, right there, to help you out and guide you through that process, or to give you a support group that you could sign up for. And then you may come back and say, well, my home is deteriorating and the steps are deteriorating. There's a handiworker program for those that qualify for that, and that's income based. But there's so many different offerings that we want to make sure we're meeting all the needs of the seniors. So when you walk in that front door and you hit that reception desk, our goal is like you're coming to the Hyatt, and welcome to the senior party, and what can we offer you, and how do we make your day a little bit more joyful? How do we make sure you meet at least one friend that day? We're working on this ambassador program, so we tie you up with someone, because it's a lonely time in retirement, and if you don't know anyone, it's tough. And you remember walking in high school the first day. Do you remember as scared as I was? You know, where do I go? Where do I sit? What do I do? And we want to make that warm feeling as they come into this country club of senior centers called Bella Vita, so that you're relaxed.
That's awesome.
And that's so important. And it's not just me saying this. There's 120 staff behind me with the same mission and the same purpose. So when I get the reviews, it's, oh, your reception desk, they are the friendliest people. They say good morning to me, and then they say good evening when I leave, and they know my name. And those things are so critical for people later on, for anybody really.
Yeah.
Well, I know that one of your ladies, Rita, calls me every single day.
Wow, that's wonderful.
How are you doing, Barb?
Mm-hmm.
This is Rita. I said, I know who you are.
Well, and that.
But she calls and checks
what do you
to see.
talk about?
Well, we just chat for a few minutes. She says, how are you doing? What are you doing? You know, and I've been getting home delivered meals twice a week, and the food is delicious. It is absolutely delicious, and they deliver it on time every single day that they come, and I just love it. But it's so nice when Rita calls. It really is. And then a couple of days ago, I think it was Monday, I had a call from a young woman, and I wrote her name down at home. I don't have it with me, but I needed to be interviewed.
Okay.
For a do it either every 6 months or
Yeah,
every
we do an
3
assessment to make sure you're truly homebound to get the meal.
Yes.
Sure.
and she was asking me all kinds of questions.
Those are county questions.
Yes. And she said, this is something we have to do.
That's
you
right.
know. And I obviously answered all of her questions to her satisfaction.
Right. To
So-
know that you are homebound for whatever reason.
Yes.
And those phone calls you get, they're called telephone reassurance phone calls, which is the classic county name for that service. But it's nice that you take telephone reassurance phone call, and it's really Rita. So you put a person to it.
Oh, yeah.
And I passed by Rita today about 4 times already. But I will tell her when I get back that you talked about her phone calls, because it's really coming from the reception area with your name on it, which
Well,
is kind of funny.
and it is so appreciated. It really is, because you can sit at home, and you see these stupid things come up on your cell phone. Who the heck is that? Most of the time I don't answer the phone
Right.
unless a name or a face comes up.
Mm-hmm.
But her name is on there.
That's wonderful.
SCV Senior Center.
So it's more than just a meal.
Yes.
You're getting a lot more than a meal. You're getting a social worker basically to call you to make sure, Barbara, are you okay?
Yes,
And-
absolutely.
And you can talk to them probably unlike you can talk to your other family members.
That's
'Cause
very
you can talk to
true.
your daughters about one thing, but you can talk to Rita about anything.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
not be shy about it. I think that's a gift.
Oh, I think it is too. But it's really, really appreciated. So please let her know.
I will let her know.
I've told her that many times, but
And-
coming from you, it might be a little bit different.
I will definitely tell her. But I also think it spurs the conversation of there's so many homebound folks who may be listening today saying if you need a meal and you are homebound and you are 60 or over, to call the senior center and get into our Meals on Wheels system. We call it home delivered meals. We also call it Meals on Wheels Santa Clarita Valley. We're part of the national organization. We have no waiting list. And we just got to make sure you qualify, but then we can get a meal to your house within a couple of days with our cars and our drivers and our volunteers that go out there. So we have room to grow. At the height of COVID, we were doing 800 meals a day were being delivered, 800.
Wow.
Right now we're about 520. And I'm encouraging the staff to try to reach out to the underserved population that's homebound. And they may be listening by radio, and that's an important, to call the senior center and say, can I get a meal? And you should be able to get through the process, which you did too,
Yes.
which is a little bit, but it's, I got a call from a doctor over at Facey, all right? And the doctor said, Kevin, just got someone, we just released him, he's gonna need meals. Within 24 hours, that guy, he was actually out in Palmdale, and he called from Facey in Santa Clarita. He was getting Meals on Wheels the next day.
Nice.
And just because we knew he was truly homebound, he was just being released from the hospital. And that's a classic case of, boy, we should be there for our seniors.
Absolutely.
I've asked that doctor, Dr. Avellino, and I said, could you keep spreading the word to those other doctors that if you're sending someone home and they are homebound and they're a senior, we need to be there at their doorstep to get them a meal.
Yeah.
If they don't have any other resources.
Right.
And if they have family members there at home and they can take care of them, that's fine too. But there's also the people that are isolated, and we need to get to that population because there's an underserved group, and I know it's large. And I'm trying to figure out how do we get to them to serve them.
And
Sure.
it's interesting because if I didn't have my son and daughter coming down, they both live in Palmdale, and they come down sporadically during the week
Mm-hmm.
to stay with me. And otherwise, I wouldn't have anybody.
Right.
I'd have to have somebody come in.
Yeah, and too many people are in that situation.
That's right.
It's horrible that there are people who actually do need help with food. I just don't understand that, but it is real. It's a real problem. But I have witnessed firsthand the frustration of some of my senior friends who don't have any social activity, who don't have, especially over the past 3 years, what has happened with the isolation and the fear and the people moving away. All of it's a perfect storm of having someone who's in their senior years just not have anybody to turn to. And to know that the senior center is there. A lot of people can't live in these assisted living facilities. They're out on their own. And their family might not even be in the state.
Right.
And a lot of their friends may be gone.
Right.
And all of a sudden it's all on them. And we have some friends that say, if it wasn't for you guys, I don't know what I'd do, and I'm like, oh, that's just so wrong.
Right.
And to have something
it is,
like
and we
the
need to
senior
give you
center.
the tools as their friend to
Yeah.
say, where can I get these resources?
Exactly.
Because even if they're out of the area, they can still take our classes.
Yeah.
If they have a phone, you can communicate with our classes every single day. And you can see Jenny doing her thing this morning because she's talking to 60 people live doing her chair Pilates class today.
Nice.
But it's also Zoomball, and everyone says, well, I don't have a computer. You don't need a computer. I do stuff on my phone.
Yep.
So if you can have someone help you get Zoom on a phone, we give you the free link. This is no cost. You can see that activity going on, and they're interacting with the Zoom world as well as with the live. And that's how we can connect it just a little bit more, another inch
Sure.
closer to connectiveness. Because you're right, isolation is our
It's
biggest fear.
yeah.
It's
it's
deadly.
horrible. It's
it really
horrible.
is. It's
Yeah.
deadly.
But it takes one person at a time. You know those friends. You have to spread the word to those. You have your friends, and if we all do this, then we're going to bring this community even closer together. Because we can do a great job, but again, our goal is, what about the underserved or they don't know about us?
Sure.
And how do we reach out to them? We don't have the money for massive marketing campaigns, but I'm not sure that's going to reach them. So it's going to reach them one person at a time.
Yeah,
That's
it.
very true.
Well, that's why we have this show. That's why we all, dedicate an hour or so a week to come here and try to make this happen
Right.
for this community. Because
This is my 19th year.
that's awesome.
Can you believe that?
19th, you're spreading the word to making sure the seniors in this area
On the
are,
senior hour.
That's
Oh, my
wonderful.
goodness.
Congratulations, Barbara.
Oh, wow. And I've loved every minute of it. Absolutely. And there have been very few times that I was not able to be here.
Yep.
Very few times. And that's when I had that stupid cancer.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's gone now.
So it's 19 years for the senior hour,
Yes.
but you and your husband, Russ, were the founding members of the senior center, yes?
Yes. Yes.
So how long has that been going on?
About 47, 48 years
Yes,
now.
at least.
We're getting closer to 50.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Joanne Darcy was involved in
Mhm.
that. I remember.
Yep, we stand on the shoulders of those who made it happen,
Oh, boy.
and we're just trying to make it better and better every day.
And
just
it
because of
is
those people
better
who
and
started it.
better every day. It really is. For those of you who have not been to that beautiful Bella Vita Senior Center up on the hill, please go. Please go. The telephone number is
You know it better than I do.
661-259-9444.
You got it. And
It's,
also,
it's ingrained.
and also check the website because we got concerts coming up. I'm sold out this weekend. 400 people are coming to see a Frankie Valli tribute band.
Nice.
We moved it inside because of the heat.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're in the grand ballroom this time. We got the Doobie Brothers coming and ABBA coming, Elton John. These are all tribute bands. But we're selling out at 400 easily without trying. Within a week, we sell out in these concerts.
Nice.
And Trips and Tours is going wild. We offer trips and tours through a local travel agency called the Anderson Girls. And we work with them. We have about 7 things lined up. We're going to the Getty this weekend.
Nice.
We're going to Alaska in September. We're going to Ireland in May. We're going to the Dodger game. We're going to go listen to Mozart under the stars. And we're going to Pageant of the Masters. All seniors getting on our buses and traveling with this great travel agency that we've connected
Absolutely
with. So we want to give them options to get out. You don't have to be sitting home in this valley if you want to
Nope.
get out and do stuff with
Yeah,
us.
no, that's great. That's the best part of being a senior is that now you have time.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have time, and you're giving them an option to, do some things that I don't have the time to do.
Right.
Now you can go out to these shows. You can go out and Ireland, really?
Yeah.
You're going to Ireland?
We're going to Ireland.
That's a pretty long bus ride.
The greatest country on the earth. We're going to
There you
go on
go.
a tour. So, and I may just hop on that with the seniors because.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of different things going on. Check out the website is myscvcoa.org, myscvcoa.org. Check that out or give us a phone call and we can hook you up because we want you
Yes.
when we want to reach you. We want to reach your friends.
And that's 661-259-9444.
You got
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So at every level, you've got transportation there, and for people who just can't make it there, you've got the online connection. The Zoom meetings of all your classes are free.
Yep. They're all free.
And you also are now like a senior travel agent. You're going to Alaska and Ireland and having these. We used to, in elementary school, they'd be like class trips, right?
These are class
And now
trips.
you're doing it on the other, and you're doing it, and that's amazing. It's just thank you for your service to this community.
And we
and
thank
all
the
you do.
support of the city, the great city, and the county, which has been backing us too, and the individual donors that make a donation every day help us out.
Yes, and KHTS.
And KHTS has
Whoa.
given us this forum, so we are very, very grateful.
All right. Kevin MacDonald, Executive Director of the Senior Center at Bella Vita. One last time, because I think there's just so much information in any one of these shows. What's the website?
It's myscvcoa.org.
Awesome. Outstanding. You've been listening to the Senior Hour, KHTS 98.1 AM 1220, yourhometownstation.com.
And our one and only guest now is a sponsor
Woohoo!
of the Senior Hour, Miles McNamara of Comfort Keepers in Home Care.
I have been for almost 20 years.
I know, isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Best show on there.
There you go.
Absolutely,
Good to
absolutely.
be here, guys. Good to be here.
Yes.
Our anchor sponsor of the Senior Hour.
That's right.
heavens.
Since its beginning. I love that. So, Miles, Comfort Keepers is in-home care. That is the key. In-home care, not necessarily medical care, but everything leading up to that, including starting with just respite care for busy individuals who have been thrown into the situation of now I am, on top of everything else, a caregiver for my mom or my dad or
Yeah.
whatever. Now I'm also a caregiver, and I don't have any time even to go out for a movie or even sometimes to even go shopping. There's situations where you can't take your mom or dad or whatever with you where you need to go to run errands even.
Right. And it's really so much where the rubber meets the road because we all have parents. Everybody on the planet has had parents at one point, or elderly loved ones if you're raised by your grandparents or an uncle or an aunt or what have you. But you nailed it on the head. We're not doctors or nurses, so we're non-medical. We help with the activities of daily living, which is primarily, mostly all the time, how redundant was that, is what our seniors need to stay safely in their own home.
Yep.
They don't need, a nurse. They need someone to help them with meals.
Yep.
Help them stay hydrated during these dog days of summer so they don't get a urinary tract infection. Make sure they get to their doctors on time or their appointments because we do transportation also for our clients. Making sure their personal hygiene's being kept up. There's not stale food in the refrigerator. Taking their medications on time, as I mentioned, is the primary, reason seniors end up in the hospital is for mismanagement. But yeah, so we just help them with the activities of daily living, and I prefaced it by saying we all have parents because we've all done that, where we jump in, check in with them, make sure everything I just mentioned is sort of in order. But you mentioned respite care. Unless we're 24/7 around the clock, which we do offer, but it's always respite care.
Right.
We're giving relief to a family member that's concerned about the well-being of their loved one. So if it's the family caregiver that needs to get out of the house themselves, that's hugely important because caregivers need to take care of themselves. The family caregiver a lot of times will abuse their own health and well-being to care for someone that they're caring for, and then all of a sudden they're experiencing health issues as well.
That's right.
So respite is very, very important. But now with this day and age, we have a lot of adult kids who live multiple states away.
Right.
So we're going in and we're, respiting, if you will, because we're maybe there 4 hours a day, 3 or 4 days a week, and then we give feedback to the family, get direction from them. What kind of care plan do we implement? Because before we start service, I have my care manager go in and do a full assessment, create a care plan, which hits the highlights of what we want to focus on, but we can change that daily, but it gives us a good roadmap, if you will. So we go in and handle the chores, the things that need to be addressed. And if our adult kids live locally, then they can spend more quality time with their parents or grandparents. When they go over to say hello, they're doing just that. They're not doing the laundry, going to the store, straightening up the house, whatever it is. That's been done by a comfort keeper. which is how I refer to my caregivers, that they're a comfort keeper. So they get to spend more quality time while they're there. And our seniors want to stay in their own home.
Yep, most do.
I always listen to Kevin on my way in, and just a quick shout out to the senior center. I mean, he's done such an amazing job over there, because we a lot of times take our clients to the senior center. And back in the day when, and I'm sure Barbara remembers this, you may too, Tom, when the senior center was over there on off of Newhall Avenue, it's changed so much. When I was on the foundation board, I was president of the foundation board for a long time. They've since disbanded the foundation board, unfortunately. But that was always my push, is the senior center had this cloud of depression over it for whatever reason. And I kept saying, we've got to make the senior center a destination location. And Kevin said it today, I said, country club for seniors.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we have our sliver of the senior center that helps our seniors in need, home delivered meals, etc. But we have our active seniors that want to go out and, you know, do the Zoom classes or
That's
have lunch
right.
with their friends. So, you know, and we do that. We take our wherever our clients want to go, and it's fun when our caregiver, our comfort keeper, gets to take our clients to the senior center, to that country club for seniors, because I've seen a lot of directors over at the senior center through my 22 years of comfort keepers.
Oh,
and,
yes.
and Kevin's the cream of the crop. And
He
Suzanne
absolutely
Nelson,
is.
who's been director of supportive services over there for as long as I've been around. Actually, I met her at my homeowners association. We used to live in the same homeowners association. I met her while we were at a swim meet for our kids. But yeah, so our seniors want to stay active, and we do a thing called interactive caregiving, where we, if we can, let our seniors participate in their own care. Meaning, don't just hand them a remote, sit them on the couch, and let them watch The Price is Right all day while we buzz around. Is stimulate them physically and mentally and, you know, psychologically, or, you know, show me your favorite recipe, or, you know, how do you want this towel folded? So involve them in their care, keep them as active as possible, and keep them emotionally and mentally stimulated as well, because, you know, that's the old phrase, use it or lose it.
Yeah.
You know, that goes for mentally as well as physically.
Absolutely,
You know,
it does.
as the Arthritis Foundation always says, you know, motion is lotion for your joints.
There you go.
You know, so keep it moving, keep it active.
Yeah, and unfortunately, so much in this society is that media is the babysitter. Whether it's
Say that again. What is?
media,
Oh.
like TV.
Right.
TV's the babysitter.
Yeah. Don't do that with your kids.
Don't do it
that
with your
seniors.
kids. Don't do it with your seniors, especially with seniors. You know, we're kind of a special situation here on the Senior Hour and KHTS in general, as far as the information we put out there. But in so much of modern media, especially the news, I can't watch it. I can't watch it
It's just so partisan.
even a little bit,
Yeah.
much less have it running 24/7. This constant grind on people's psychological well-being.
Yeah.
It's so horrible, and you know, I'm speaking from experience. I went to visit my mom in May, and that news channel was running 24/7. Really loud
That's
because
always
she's
the
hard
place.
of hearing, so I can't even escape
Yeah.
it. I'm like reprogramming the TV, so like they're playing old TV shows from the 50s, and she's like, "Where's my news? Where's my news?" I was like, "You don't need that."
Yeah. And it's something too. I want to kind of off the subject for a minute. Is it just occurred to me is during these hot summer days, because our comfort keepers check on this obviously when we come in, but make sure our seniors sometimes want to be, you know, frugal in the sense of running their air conditioning.
Yeah.
So a lot of
That
times
could be
we'll
deadly.
walk into the house and it's 85,
Yeah.
90 degrees.
Yeah.
You know, they have to run the air conditioning. You know, that's what causes the dehydration, the UTIs. Because a lot of times, and I've mentioned on the show before, is that, you know, yeah, mom was fine last week. Now she's cognitively impaired, must be dementia. When can you start? And dementia doesn't come on that quickly.
Right.
A urinary tract infection, a UTI, has a lot of the same symptoms as dementia, disorientation, confusion, what have you. So obviously that's your first point of the doctor call, is saying this could be a dehydration UTI issue. But make sure your senior loved ones are running the air conditioning a little bit.
Oh, yes.
You know, so check in on them, and, you know, but if they're sitting there in 85, 90 degree house, which it can easily get up to in this last week, and we have a heat advisory again for next week, is to make sure plenty of water, make sure that the house is at least 75 degrees. Don't let it just sit there and get so hot that they're dehydrating as we talk with them, kind of thing.
I keep mine at 77.
Yeah.
It just stays there.
And a lot of times when we call our loved ones, that's how we stay in touch a lot. Our seniors are very good at performing on the phone. You have to do a bit of a deep dive sometimes to make sure everything's okay. There's a rhetoric that we all say, hi, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? How are the kids? How's the weather? Blah, blah. Okay, mom, bye. Boom. That's a performance. You've got to do a deep dive sometimes to check in with them, get a little more detailed about your conversations, not just about yesteryear. Because with dementia, you can remember what happened 25 years ago, but you may not necessarily remember what you did with your keys 5 minutes. Well, that's a bad example. I do that all the time. But as far as remembering things that are
welcome
very
to
recent,
the senior moment.
Yeah. But things that are very recent that's when the recall becomes difficult, where folks are starting to suffer with cognitive impairment. So, check in with the phone call, but make it a deeper conversation.
Yeah.
Don't stay with the superficial, generic answers and stuff, because they can fool you. We all perform a little bit.
Speaking of that, my son called this morning. He's usually with me, but he's off on a motorcycle race, and he was at a stop, and he called. He said, "Mom," he said, "how are you doing?" I said, "I'm fine." He said, "Are you cool enough there?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I haven't touched the air conditioning unit. It's right where it was when you left it."
Yeah.
He said, "Okay, good. Just checking in with you."
Yeah, there's a lot of issues that we overlook by just talking niceties on the phone.
Yeah.
Sometimes see if your loved ones are asking you detailed questions of something that may be new in your life or new in your circle. Because if you're doing all the talking and they're giving you 1 or 2 word answers, again, you're being performed for. So do it a little deeper. Get some detail, current, yesteryear, what have you. And when we visit our folks, do that quick assessment as well. Is there spoiled food in the fridge? Is the house a little bit messier than you remember mom and dad keeping it? Are there stacked up mail on the table? Maybe some past due notices. Is there personal hygiene, a little bit less than you remember them keeping up with? And so there's a lot of things you can, take advantage of when you do a visit to do that quick assessment. Don't be a bull in a china shop. Don't be disrespectful and walk in and say, "Oh my God, what dirty clothes here, bills." Look at it with a kind eye and do an assessment, have a conversation, and maybe home care a few times a week is something that could really enhance their independence, keep them at home, and keep them healthy
And keep them comfortable.
and happy.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want your 90-year-old mother cleaning the house in all day long.
Well, and the thing is too and we help our adult children almost as much as we help our seniors, in that in 22 years in doing this, and I say this with love, I've never seen a senior who needs help. When you talk with the senior, we're all independent. We all think we can walk on water. And so sometimes, and it breaks my heart to tell an adult child that mom or dad doesn't necessarily have the final say anymore.
Right.
You have to look out for their best interest. And again, it's also the approach I mentioned earlier. The bull in the china shop is if we're explained as a companion to help them around the house and keep them at home, the word caregiver has a terrible connotation to it right out the gate.
Right.
It infers helplessness. It infers I need to be taken care of. So that's why we refer to ourselves as a comfort keeper or a personal companion, personal assistant. Because we've all hired personal help through our lives. We hire gardeners, we hire housekeepers,
That's right.
we hire
Absolutely.
painters, we don't do all that ourselves. So when our seniors need a helping hand, we're hiring a personal assistant. We're not helping as a caregiver. We're helping they're still the boss. We're there to enhance the independence. That's the primary reason for the care plan, so we don't step on any toes, that we make it enjoyable for our clients. Who doesn't want a personal valet along with them where they go places, So again, it's all a very mental approach, and it's contextual. So when you're making that assessment, it's an idea you may present to your loved one, it's not about helplessness. It's about enhancing your independence. It's about keeping you in your own home. It's about you having a personal valet, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You know?
One thing that personally I would be concerned about is how are your comfort keepers vetted? Like, how do we know that this person who's going to, you know, have a huge influence of my mother's personal life, how do I know this is a safe situation?
That's a great question, because we also really try to warn against hiring folks privately. You know, other home care companies aren't my biggest competition. I hate that term. Our other friends in the industry. It's that person that is being hired privately, you know, and there has been no vetting done. As of about 10 years ago or a little less, home care actually became a licensed industry, which I was very welcoming of. I mean,
Yes.
I know a lot of people don't like regulations and oversight, but it was so needed, this industry. You had agencies out there who weren't vetting at all. They weren't, you know, they were using independent contractors, which means they were totally void of any responsibility. There were no workers' comp, no whatever. But as a licensed agency, you have to vet your comfort keepers very thoroughly and train. You know, but as far as your first question, vetting is we do a Department of Justice fingerprinting background check. I go even further and hire. I have an independent company that does local, because believe it or not, if you do a fingerprint DOJ test or scan or background check, something that happened locally in within the last month, DUI, domestic abuse, whatever, isn't on that DOJ report
Yes,
yet.
that's right.
You know, so you may get that deep dive federally, but locally or countywide, we run a separate one just to double check that. We do a DMV record check. Obviously, we do references and, you know, experience too. I mean, our caregivers come in. What we do being non-medical, I have a caregiver skill lab at my office, and, you know, which I've opened up to the family caregivers in the community, even if they're not a client, so they come in and do a proper transfer or a lift, or we have all the toys and tools and stuff to help your senior loved ones. But we, you know, even if our caregiver says, yeah, I'm a CNA and I've got 10 years of experience, we're like, good, let's go upstairs and prove it. You know, we have Granny Chase. You know, she's my mannequin, grandma, very anatomically
Oh,
real
yes,
with
I've
joints
been
and
there.
stuff. Yeah, so we got a hospital bed. So I said, transfer Grandma Chase for me. But anyway, so we vet them. We do the DOJ background check. We do a local county records check. We do a DMV check, and then they go through a Comfort Keepers training program.
I like it. Yeah,
And
that's what I would want. You know, if I'm going to invite someone to be my advocate, my stand-in for my, you know, taking care of my mom for at least the next 4 hours. It's 4 hour minimum.
Yeah.
At least the next 4 hours. I want to know that I don't have to worry about that situation.
Right. And again, it comes with a cost. You get what you pay for. The old you know, trite sayings. But, you know, so we get folks out there who hire that private caregiver at maybe 3/4 the cost of a comfort keeper. But all those things I just talked about, you know,
Yeah.
by next week they may have their boyfriend living in the garage and things start to miss. You know, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just very. And if that person injures I'm so sorry. And if that person injures themselves while they're on your property,
Yeah.
you're medically responsible, and that can get into the 6 figures. So workers' comp insurance is huge.
Yep. Yeah,
Yes, I'd
crazy.
also like to get into long-term care insurance
After the
when we
break.
come back.
You're
Okay.
listening to the Senior Hour KHTS 98.1 AM 1220, your hometownstation.com.
And we're speaking with one of our sponsors, Miles McNamara of Comfort Keepers in Home Care. And during the break, we discussed possibly looking into long-term care
Right,
insurance.
and you actually mentioned that before the break, and I've learned through the years what Barbara wants, Barbara gets.
Ah.
So real quick, we'll address long-term care insurance. It's huge because, unfortunately, home care is costly, and it's private pay for the most part.
Yes.
And when I say the most part, I mean always, unless you have long-term care insurance.
And I was fortunate to
And you
have
did.
it.
And
Oh,
what
my
long-term care
goodness.
insurance does is it covers the cost of non-medical in-home care. And I've seen folks now, as they begin to trigger their policy, it's a lifesaver, because to get that qualified licensed caregiver is a bit costly, I have to admit. But if you have long-term care insurance, and I really, encourage our adult kids out there who are 50, even 60, or closing in on 70, if you're healthy, is talk to a long-term care expert.
Yes.
Randy Moberg over there at LBW Insurance. He's someone I know that really is well read in long-term care insurance, and get that premium while you're healthy, while you're younger, and do a cost analysis. What's your monthly premium going to be versus the possible cost of being able to stay in your own home down the road, and you're going to be quite taken aback by the savings.
Oh, you absolutely are.
Yeah.
I can speak for that positively.
And-
It was
and-
worth
And
every penny.
if you have long-term care insurance, talk to a specialist about reevaluating it. Because I unfortunately see a lot of folks come and they've had this for 40 years. Well, home care really wasn't a big thing 40 years ago. We're relatively new to the landscape. So have someone take a look at your policy, because they'll come and say, I've got a long-term care policy. I've had it for 25, 40 years. And I look at it, and sometimes because it didn't exist, it excludes home care. So check that. Or it's got a $50 a day maximum, which gets you a couple hours. It doesn't even get you a couple hours. So if you do have a long-term care insurance policy, have it looked at, have it reevaluated. It might be time to upgrade it, because you may think you have the silver lining, but you really are just making payments for something that's not going to help you.
Wow. Okay. Good to know. And you said you have a friend that you know that works this particular.
Randy, one of the owners at LBW Insurance.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great to know. So we still have a minute or two. Anything like the takeaway for the show for you, Miles?
I've used a couple trite sayings here, but I'll say it again. As far as looking at your situation, people don't plan to fail; they fail to plan. So have that talk with your senior loved one of what their journey looks like for them. And maybe going into an assisted living facility, sometimes called a cruise ship on land. That might be their choice. But you should have all your legal documents in place, an estate plan, advanced health care directive, and have that map. I did this with my mom. I'm proud to say I practiced what I preach. Is I sat down with her and I said, what does this look like in the next 2, 5, 10 years? And her choice was to go into an assisted living after a little home care, but she was lonely. She wanted that, so
Sure.
Any takeaway today is have a plan, sit down, and what is that how many times have you heard about kids standing out in the hallway of the hospital arguing about what mom or dad would have wanted? Take all the guesswork away. Have your estate plan, have that map, and now the kids are just following your instructions of what you want to happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Miles McNamara, Comfort Keepers, our anchor sponsor for the past 20 years. We are also sponsored by iMac Med Spa and Providence Holy Cross Center. You've been listening to the Senior Hour, KHTS 98.1 AM 1220, your hometown station.com. Now go out and enhance your quality of life.